and sing it one and all. Join in the chorus, North Melbourne's on the ball. Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.
Welcome back, Shimboners. On today's podcast, we will be discussing yesterday's great hit out at Bunbury at Hands Oval against the West Coast. Lots of positives to come out of it, as well as a couple of negatives to touch on. But to help me get through that and a few other items on the agenda, the Big Chief as always. Chieftain, welcome.
Thanks, Baz. Pretty good hit out. I was a bit disappointed we didn't get the W, but it was only a practice match. So we definitely had the majority of the play going our way and just couldn't finish in the forward line.
Yeah, well, we got a bit of feedback we might have been a touch negative last week, so that won't happen again this week. Not because of that, but because the performance was a lot better.
Yes, it was. Well, and we played a lot stronger team than the Melbourne Reserves we played the week before. So that's why the main reason I was disappointed, because the quality of the teams did not match up.
No. Before we get into it, I just want to talk about our tipping competition. Obviously, opening round only a couple of days away now. So find us on the social media, or if you have ESPN Footy Tips, just search in the Shimboners Podcast Tipping Group and it'll come up. We've got our major prize giveaway thanks to SC Rings, again, for sponsoring us. Former Shimboner Ryan Bastanak will be in the tipping group, so you can try and beat Basti as well.
Beat Basti?
Yeah. Well, that won't take much for him to beat you, let me tell you. But it's going to be a lot of fun again, so jump on board that one. If you can't find the link, either message the page or have a look at our socials, and it's over there a lot as well. So as I mentioned, the listener divide. There was a bit of 50. It was pretty much an even 50-50 split after the D's game. Lots of people saying it's match sim, we don't need to take it too seriously. And then the other half sort of on more towards our opinion that it's the first proper hit out. You want to see a better effort, especially with the gap in talent between the two teams. Obviously, we had a fairly strong side out there. But we've already touched on that a bit. But, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are very clear. It was disappointing. We had pretty much our best side available out, and they had 10. We forgot to mention Viney was out as well, another important player for them. Petrarca gone. We're not going through them all again, but yeah, it was disappointing to just be so uncompetitive after half time.
Well, let's bring it up. Let's bring up the mood a little bit, because just book your September holidays after some of the play we saw yesterday. Flag Roos.
Flag Roos. We're back, baby.
But in all seriousness, a good last hit out, and our next matchup is against the Doggies, round 1, under the lid at Marvel, with big breaking news during the week that Marcus Bontempelli, obviously the superstar that we both picked in our crystal ball to win the Brownlow, will not be featuring and out for 6 weeks. So it's just got to be a win. If we're going to take that next step as a side, they've got so many guns out.
Yeah, it's a bit like Melbourne.
Yeah.
But that was only a match sim. This will be the real deal, and we have to beat them. If we're ever going to beat them, it's going to be round 1.
And a bit of talk about Jai Simpkin. Obviously missed the game against the D's, and then yesterday's game with a virus. He'll still be fine to play for mine.
Yeah, he'll play.
Yeah. Another point I want to bring up before we get into our match notes is Jamar Ugle-Haagen. I think it's worth having the discussion. He's out of contract at the end of next year, and David King on SEN reporting that he believes that Jamar has 1 to 100 to 1 chance, to remain at the Doggies. So my question to you is, would you be investing in that and trying to facilitate a trade if you're North? Because obviously key position, particularly forward, is not great in the depth, and he's a former pick 1. We know the talent he has, but also the off-field issues that could potentially come with that. So my question is, do you take the risk and back the culture and back Clarko to get the best out of him, or we've finally had a quiet off-season without any distractions and just not knowing what will come with Jamar and what baggage will come? What do you think? What are your initial thoughts?
No, because I don't know what his off-field issues are. And I have heard some rumours, but they are only rumours, I don't know. But they'd have to certainly do a deep dive into his character and behaviour. So it's a no from me, and I don't want off-field distractions. Would have to trade for him. Obviously, you might get slightly unders on the trade, but they'd be asking 2 or 3 first rounders.
No,
Which we haven't got. That's what they'll be asking, and then there'll be the haggle, the car salesman stuff, the to and fro, the back and forth. But no, it's a no from me.
Yeah, it was an interesting discussion point, isn't it? Because he's a top end talent.
Well, what's your thoughts?
I don't know enough about it, but I definitely think we should look into it.
Well, I'm still burnt by Jonathan Hay.
Yeah, I was a bit before my time.
Well, you're around, but you're only a little tacker. And you probably just got your pen licence about then. Yeah, we got him from Hawthorn as an all-Australian quality centre-half back. And our VFL were aligned with Tassie, the Tassie Devils at that stage. And he shouldn't have been playing for the Devils. He was only playing because he was a contracted North player. That's how bad he went. And I think he had mental health issues, which obviously we didn't know about at the time of the trade. So Hawthorn royally screwed us. And ironically, their president, Jeff Kennett, was the Beyond Blue ambassador. Beyond Blue for mental health.
Yeah.
So how ironic is that? Because no doubt they knew about it and we didn't. So I was burnt by that, and I'd need... Jamar would have to get triple checked to be all clear of any off-field or whatever his issues are.
And then there's obviously the key factor that he has to want to come to North. Which
Yeah,
I think he'll go to Sydney. I think that's...
Yeah, he'll lose his family support at Sydney, but, you know...
Yeah, but it might be like Hogan, get out of the
Could be.
Melbourne bubble.
Could be, and Sydney will... The AFL will help him find some money for him, there's no doubt about that.
They'll pay his mortgage off and...
Yep. Set him up at Bondi.
Yeah.
But probably in Buddy's old house.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Last thing before we get into our match notes is, did you check out SEN Friday morning?
Yes, I did, and I heard your voice on it. You participated in the quiz. How'd you go?
Yeah, got the chocolates, but it was very much a Stephen Bradbury effort. Just sort of didn't have to do a great deal. I think particularly the first question around contracted players past 2030, I had at least 8 or 10 more of those up my sleeve. But when it got to the final question about horse racing, I'm not a horse racing... I don't have a great deal of knowledge in that area, so fluked my way through. But yes, good to be on board with Kane and Kingy. And usually at the end you get to say a few words, and I was going to plug the pod, but Kingy was just losing his mind over how shit, to use his language, the quiz is.
Kane might have heard your voice and thought you're not plugging that pod because you potted me all last year.
No, we're on Kane this year.
Yeah, we are on Kane this year, but last year not so much.
No, it's his mate McClure who's in the gun.
Oh, yeah.
Big time in the gun on this pod. But right, let's...
So the last question, which you got right, was name Melbourne Cup winners post-2000. And you went first and got the only answer.
Yeah, I had Mackay Diva, and the guy I was playing against had nothing, which is good, because if he had come back with one, I would have had nothing.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Nice. And what'd you win?
Callaway prize pack.
Nice.
And
That'll be coming my way, no doubt.
Yeah, and a Signet power bank as well, which is good for charging on the go. But they also had a ham, $80 half a ham, but I had to donate that because it's only for Victorian people who live in Victoria. So that one went to charity.
Well, I don't think the plane flies. I've got a refrigerator.
No, mustn't do. But right, let's get into yesterday's game. So we went down 11-5-71 to 9-15-69. So the big positive, I suppose, is the scoring shots. But I want to start with our biggest takeaway, and I'll lead first.
Okay.
And Finn O'Sullivan, lock him in, throw away the key, because he's going to play every game he can this year, barring any injury. He was so impressive yesterday and looked like he'd played 100 games with his composure and, as you mentioned previously, his ability to step through traffic. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He'd have been in my best players. If we were doing the top 5, he'd have got votes in his debut. Let's hope he gets votes next week in a win. My biggest takeaway is how good's Harry? How good's Harry Sheezel? And anyone, and you've already mentioned the Sam McClure, how he didn't have him as an A grader. He obviously just doesn't watch North.
No,
Because
he doesn't have KO or Foxtel.
Well, that's a standard game, what he produced, again. And you've got his stats there.
I do, and he had an amazing game. So he had 36 disposals, he kicked a goal, went at 89% disposal efficiency, 7 clearances, 9 score involvements, just a monster game from him. And it might be a bit early, but I think he will go down easily as a top 3 all-time great of this football club. And what do you think he has to do to get that?
Just keep doing what he's doing, and he'll probably be top 2.
Yeah.
He's obviously a completely different player to Carey, who's our best player. But I mean, he's what's he, just 20?
Yeah, he's 20 years old.
Just in his 3rd year, and he's doing this stuff.
I don't think he's played a bad game, and a bad game for our take for Harry is when he has 17 and doesn't really impact the scoreboard.
Yeah,
But then that's some of the other players in our side. That's their best game for the year.
Yes, no, he's just unbelievable how good he is.
Oh, and we saw the damage he can do. Just the cleverness. Like, he had one where he was getting confronted, didn't have time to turn on his left, and he just hit a little check side that bounced perfectly on the wing to... I can't remember who he kicked it to. It might have been Bailey Scott.
I think it was Bailey Scott.
Just his... And he had another kick where it was like a through ball in soccer.
Yep.
West Coast had the zone set up, and he just perfectly weighted it to, I think, it might have been FOS, and it got in, and I think we ended up kicking a goal from it. His ball use is elite.
Yeah, and to go 89% playing a lot of time in midfield.
I think he went to half back in the last quarter for a little bit. Or
Yeah,
maybe the third quarter.
and he played forward for bits, but just unbelievable how good he is, and what a great man who's signed long term. There was none, went past his free agency. Imagine if he got to free agency, the clubs.
With Callahan's getting 1.7, you'd lock him in for 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have to go through all that stress. We had the stress of Zerha, and even bigger stress with LDU. We don't have to worry about Harry. He's just locked in.
Yeah, we'll get to LDU in a minute.
And he'd be getting paid way unders.
Yeah, but he just strikes me as that.
Well, he said when he signed
He
didn't care about the money.
No, he just wants to win.
Yep.
Which is what we want as well. Another player in that first quarter who was electric was Jack Darling. Just his ability to lead up and get involved in the chain. And I'll put my hand up. I was not a fan of the trade, but I know it's only pre-season, but the 2 games we've been able to see, he's been awesome in both of them.
Yeah, he can't do. He's doing probably more than what we wanted. He's doing what we wanted or hoped he'd do, but he's doing it fairly easily at this stage. He looks natural.
Well, you look at the talent in that forward line: Larkey, Zerha, Paul Curtis, and he was the best forward yesterday.
Yep.
For mine, you mentioned before that FOS would have been in the Basti votes. Well, Jack Darling would have been in both of ours too,
Yes,
I imagine.
he would have. And we're not going to say everyone's going to be in it because I've got some negatives to come, but we're positive. Like, I've never been so positive for a 2-point loss.
No, I agree. But just touching on that, I suppose, there was a good point sent to me by a listener that quite often we were close in games or would get a sneaky win because we kicked straight and we weren't generating as many scores. But that was West Coast yesterday. I mean, they kicked straight and that's what ultimately got them the win. But we kicked 9-15, which is very unlike us. But I suppose the positive is we were generating a lot of shots on goal. Just want to touch on that first quarter. So obviously we're kicking with the wind, but 16-3 inside 50s, 13-4 the clearances. So we smashed them around the ball.
Yep.
And I thought we set up really well with them trying to exit our forward 50 and the way we set up the wall with the wind.
Yes. They couldn't get it out, which is what we want. That was really good. And Big X, he was dominating in the ruck.
And the entries were better. Robbie Hanson Jr. had one where he lowered his eyes and hit Zerha. Do you remember that one in the first quarter? Where last week I was sick of watching we get it to 70 and just dump kick it to Larkey, who is worth noting. That's not his game. He's not a pack marker. He's on the lead. But Hanson Jr. lowered his eyes. Little chiseler, hit Zerha 50 out and he slotted a great goal.
Yep. And what about your man Nick Larkey's shot from about the same distance?
Wasn't that terrible?
How'd that work out, Nick? We both said...
He nearly kicked it sideways.
We both said he won't make the distance even with the howling gale behind him because outside 50 or around 50 is not his go. And he missed the goals by 30 metres.
Well, it's like, yeah.
Which is so unlike him.
He's usually off the tee bed hitting a 5-iron, but he's gone the driver and he's just shanked it.
To put the driver away. He just, it's normally just a little 9-iron from about 30, isn't he? Just enough to clear the goal umpire. He doesn't waste much energy kicking it any further than he has to. And now we know why.
Yeah. Right, I want to bring up the first negative of the day.
Oh, dear.
And it's a comedy of errors. Every time we got an outnumber on the link forward into our forward 50, we had them outnumbered, which 17 other clubs would have an easy open goal.
Yes.
We stuffed it up every single time yesterday.
Yeah, we just can't. That's that last kick or handball. It's behind someone or in between two players or to their only player. We just stuff it up too much. It's almost becoming, there's North again, isn't it? It's just a bit depressing because they've done all the hard work, got the overlap, doing the Chinese checkers, and can't finish. It's not good enough.
It's not. It's absolutely not. Another negative, we got a message sent from David, one of our listeners, who made me laugh. He said, how many times has Big Chief yelled out back shoulder to call because he was playing too far off Waterman, and Waterman looked like Wayne Carey early.
Tighten up.
And that was a negative we brought up last week.
We were saying put Logue on him, but then we thought, no, it's only a practice match. Calm down, and he's got to learn. And I think his second half was better.
Well, we'll touch on this next week for our preview of the Doggies, but I don't know. You're thinking Logue's going to play on Sam Darcy. I don't know what planet you're living on there. Well, he's about 20 centimetres short.
Yeah, the only thing I think he's got the strength in his body to play in front and make him reach over the top, which he can clearly do at 14 centimetres taller. But yeah, it's either him or Chom, and Chom didn't impress me that much yesterday. He certainly,
I think
you're pretty happy with him kicking sideways, from what I believe.
He's got to just be told long down the line or handball to Caleb Daniel.
Yeah,
because
he's got to go long. He's little sideways 15-metre chiseler is not his go.
He is fighting with Big Suv for the worst turnover of the day.
Yes.
Because actually Jacko had a bad one too, kicking sideways. But Suv's was frustrating because he
handball. He should have handballed.
Yeah.
He's got to trust Casanti, it was, out at least 20 metres on his own. Let's get a handball out within 5 metres of him and trust him to do what he had to do. I reckon that they probably had a loose in front, so he couldn't just kick it. He tried to do some sort of Harry Sheezel off the side, which Harry would lace him out with, but that's not your go, Sylv. Get the hands out to him and trust him to drive the car.
He kicked it straight to his direct opponent. He kicked it about 40 metres in the air.
That was another, and that was the last quarter, wasn't it? Into the wind. Or if we'd have got a goal out of that, and I'm saying we would have, because I reckon Casanti would have had to hold up and wait for the forwards to get back to position. But trust him to do that. And at least we would have got a shot on goal, I reckon. And that direct turnover resulted in a goal to Flying Ryan.
It did.
So just the turnover killed us, as they always do.
Yeah, staying on the back line, I want to talk about something that really impressed me in that second quarter. We saw West Coast kick, I think it was 3 or 4 in about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and so many times we've seen the story where North concede 8, a big stretch of goals. But the maturity of the group yesterday, led by, I thought, Griffin Logue, when he took a couple of intercept marks, really slowed it down. Sideways kicking, just maintaining possession, taking that momentum and sting out of the game. I thought it was a big tick and something that I haven't seen in a long time from a North Melbourne outfit. So very impressed by their ability to just regain control and stop the big momentum and big bags of goals that get kicked on the run against us, which was a massive issue last year because it was that 10 minutes and we're out of the game.
Yes, I agree. Logue was good in the second half, and I think that's why, sometimes he was matched up on Ryan, but they want him, I think, as that interceptor.
And what did you think
come
of
off.
Griffin Logue's outfit yesterday? He had a few
Well, I thought
thoughts.
he had the Eddie Betts type shorts on. They were massive. They were like circus tents. They were very big on him. And he's a lot bigger than Eddie, but he had the oversized shorts.
Well, he does have-
He's like he's going for a surf.
He has tree trunk legs,
He
I
does
suppose.
have
Which,
massive thighs.
but they did look very baggy, and they were having a good laugh about it. Some other defenders. I mean, Jacko, you just know what you're going to get. He had that one poor turnover, but otherwise...
I thought he was good.
He was good, won all the one-on-ones he needed to. Elmac, oh boy, still concerning. Lost too many 50-50s, didn't impact the game, and I am seriously...
I think he's... I'm a fan because, they're all my boys. But he's in serious doubt for round one. But I think he'll play round one, but he'd be the 22nd... or he'd be in the 20s as picked.
I think he's the 23rd picked. If he's
I don't think he'll play sub. I don't think he's a good sub.
Well,
I think he'll play. He may be subbed off.
why send... We named a squad of 28, and we didn't play...
3.
Yeah, Hardiman didn't play.
Which was surprising. I'd have taken Elmac off in the last quarter and put Hardiman on. And just cause use that run into the wind.
Tiku, another one I didn't get on, but... I'll pass the floor to you to talk about Big X because he had a great game again yesterday and very much in first gear cruise control against Tommy Campbell. Maybe ex-teammate didn't want to bash him too much, but he brought that
felt
back
sorry
yesterday.
for the veteran in Tommy Campbell. Didn't want to give him more grey hairs by frightening the life out of him, but he was switched on yesterday, Big X. He was probably our best player in the first quarter, first half. I thought he was vying for it. He was really good. He'd have been in my votes if we were doing it. That's just about 3 or 4 we've mentioned. So no doubt the listeners are keeping count.
No,
But
well,
what about his tackles? Let's talk about his tackles. That's his one wood.
14 of them.
14, and you've backed him in.
Yeah, I've
Tell
got
the
on him.
listeners.
I've got on him on one of the gambling promotions. I have a market for...
Gamble responsibly.
Yes,
people.
for most tackles for the year and an average, and he's the third favourite, I think, at about $8, and I'm on that.
You're on that, right.
I'm
And
on
14's a good start, even though it's only a
It doesn't
practice
count,
match.
but-
Yeah, it doesn't count.
But yeah, he was bashing and crashing Flynn. Harley Reid took his helmet off at one point, and I'll tell you what, did the Big X make him pay for that? I reckon he got him at least 3 times on the ground.
X flattened someone. I can't remember who it was. It was after they bumped Scott, whoever that was. Oh, was that Richmond bloke?
Jack Graham.
Jack Graham, ex-Richmond. Yeah, he flattened him. He got in a big wrestle with him.
And one of my favourite moments of the day was on the three-quarter time siren, if I can speak properly. There was a 2 seconds to go, stoppage, hit out to Kelly. Big X had him wrapped up. The siren goes, and he just fell on him.
I loved it.
Clumsy X just nails him.
Yeah, just it's one to go on to. That'll slow you down a bit for the last quarter. Well, unfortunately, they did come over the top of us with the wind. Now, speaking of the wind, we're under the lid next week. There'll be no wind. Do you reckon we'll be giving the goals away, waiting for because we'll play 2 games in horrendous wind? It's a bit like the W girls who had to play in rain every week. Yes, they won't be used to playing in the sterile environment of Marvel.
No, exactly. It'll be an interesting one to don't give the goal
Don't
away.
dare give the goals away.
Covering some other players in the back line, I thought Darcy Tucker, I've been probably the harshest person on him, I reckon. I thought his second half was really good. I thought he did some really good things.
Probably, yes.
Just he was very safe with the ball. He didn't try and be Sheezel, which is good. Sometimes he gets a bit ambitious, but he just hit what he had to hit.
Yeah.
He's defensively was good. Didn't have his one moment like he did against the D's where he got clean ripped like a Mitchell Stark Yorker. But
Yes.
Very good. So I think you can only play one of him or McDonald. And if I'm at the selection committee next to Clarko, I'm saying Darcy Tucker. For
Yeah,
mine.
I agree. McDonald just hasn't shown enough in in the 2 practice games, and yeah, Tucker after quarter time I think was pretty good. And yet played within his limitations and played well. And speaking of Mitchell Stark, Yorkers, ripping Yorkers, poor old Caleb Daniel had about 5 to collect off. Luckily, he hasn't got far to bend to pick him off his toes, but he got a lot of handball receives on his toes and was clean every time. So, and then the opposite, he got the Mitchell Johnson bounces at the other end where the loose ball, and I thought, oh, that's going to be a worry, isn't it, bouncing over his head? But
He was
he had at least 2 of them, and he kept the ball in front of him somehow, so he must have a good leap.
And just
The little
a
fella.
early watch list entry is you, because I think you're just a bit underselling what he does. Like, you didn't have him in your unofficial votes yesterday, and I thought he was...
Well, it goes to
awesome.
5. He was outside the 5, but inside the 10 easily.
Oh, he's been
It was
such a good addition, because
6, 7, 8-ish.
in the past, with our half-backs, I'd say the last 15 years,
Harry Sheezel,
besides him,
and Colby.
besides those two, obviously, I'm talking like long-term half-backs, Mac, J-Mac, Atlee, Aaron Mullett, those sorts.
Fishy.
Big Fish, shout out to Fish, love Fish. But you'd get that half-volley handball, and it's that slight fumble, and bang, pressure comes, stoppage on your half.
Yeah,
50.
no, he was. Yes, he was good.
He's been. I said to you yesterday.
How
as
deep
well,
are the best players going? They're only going to 5 in the vote, so he didn't quite make the 5.
That's okay, but I'm just keeping an eye on it. A bit like you had a Larky tax last year, you kick 5 and you get 1 vote. But just on Daniel, a lot of eyebrows raised. That we might have paid a bit overs for 25. That deal's going to look like unders by the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think keep a little eye on top 3 in the Sid and All Australian watch, I reckon. He's going to have an electric year. He's been great so far on the hit-outs, and big fan of his.
Well, we can keep an eye on the All-Australian watch, but unfortunately the selectors don't watch our games,
No,
as
well, that's
evidenced by last year's 2 omissions.
But yeah, it was just that 5-minute stretch in the second quarter that really cost us, and they got on a roll. But I thought we defended the transition better, particularly in the first half. The second half, the game opened up a bit in the heat, and we didn't defend it as well. But yeah,
Well, that happens
to finish on the defenders. Sorry, Chom, quiet, but I thought he was better in the second half. Started to get his intercept game back a little bit, but after such a successful year last year, he hasn't exactly hit the pre-season in hot form.
No, but the hot conditions and mainly the wind makes it hard to be an intercept defender, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we got the big tell round 1 under the lid.
And just going back to core, if you're playing on Waterman, how does he get his kicks?
On the lead.
On the lead. So where do you think you need to be? Now, his first goal, when they were kicking into the wind in the first quarter, he actually was playing in front, which I like, into the wind, because the ball drops, and he got burned out the back. But when they had that little hot run and he was kicking goals with the wind, he's got to be back shoulder. Now, he's probably getting pushed off the ball or whatever, but if you're going to be the anchor defender, you've got to actually anchor on, latch onto your man. So that was disappointing.
It was. But
he did improve in the second half, I thought. And he's going to play round 1, so...
He is. And
I'm glad Clarko left him on him. So he just said, mate, you fight your own battles. You've got to learn to latch on.
Yeah, and his second half of the year was really good last year, and it's also worth noting, like, he's not playing on a schmuck. Like, Jake Waterman's an All-Australian from last year. He's a good player.
Why doesn't he just grab a big handful of that mullet? So I know that'd be a free kick, but what a mullet he's got going.
He
Waterman.
does.
My God.
A lot better than...
Half-price haircuts for him because he just gets the top done.
I'll tell you whose isn't as well, is that Ruben Jimby's. His is horrendous.
This is a bit 80s glam rock style, isn't it? Anyway, we're not talking about haircuts, for God's sake.
No.
What I was going to say, some negatives. And they're on the watch list as to how they start the year every year. Bailey Scott and your man Cam Zerha.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot. Didn't do much.
Yeah, and I'll come to the defence of Cam again. Because
Poor baby, you're going to leave him out there, are you?
Well, he plays a different position, but Cam, it's hard to play that sort of third tall forward when you're playing with a big wind and you're just bombing it to Larky. So
Yeah, but we've already said the entries were better.
yeah, and when they lowered their eyes, like Hanson Jr. did, he hit him on the lead, he kicked a goal. So the big watch for me, I agree that they're both very much, we're going to be keeping a close eye on them as slow starters. And I'd Aiden Quarter that too, because he doesn't play till about round 8.
Well, yeah, true.
But yeah, that's my little out for Zerha, is they were just bombing it long. And I thought he did a good job, particularly early, of making a contest with McGovern. Because we just love to kick it to him early.
Oh, didn't we love just feeding? If he was our full forward, we win. He kicks 10 goals.
But I thought, yeah, quiet game, and the pressure will be on him early, especially 5-year contract. But my little out there is that there was a lot of inside 50s just being bombed. So the pressure will be on him. Our first couple of games at Marvel, no excuses with the wind. We've got to lower our eyes.
Now, take your Baz's Swaggerman shirt off and try and defend Bailey Scott. Or talk about it.
I thought he was better yesterday.
You don't have to defend. I thought he was missing a lot. And
He was.
he had a... You're talking about how clean little mini helmet was, Daniel. Well, Scott had one where it was out onto his wing and he just... couple of fumbles and then it's out of bounds or a turnover or something. Just a couple of times he wasn't as clean as I'd expect from he must be up around the 100 games.
He is, yeah. I'm worried that he's regressed.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm worried about. I suppose, very succinctly put. Well, I was trying to get there and I took the scenic route. But yes, I think he is regressing.
Big tick, his set shot goal though. Was a
Yes.
great finish.
Yeah, and I said to you, with all due respect to Bailey, he had the hardest shot and probably the worst shot from those who had the early shots, and he kicked our first goal. So, yeah, big tick. He's been good with his set shots so far this year. Well, in the 2 games. He's kicked a goal each game, hasn't he?
Someone I thought wasn't... we'll touch on the midfielders now a little bit, but I thought Colby had some bad disposal moments, which is unlike him. I thought he struggled to impact, and the question will be throughout the year, if teams can lock down Daniel... I don't think we have a second option for use because they're not playing Hardiman. So I think there's the chance that Colby might replicate what Sheezel did and go to the half back line for the first half of the year.
I don't think you can have Colby and Daniel, and don't dare mention Fisher because he's the worst of the lot, in the back line together because they're too vertically challenged, as you like to say, and defence isn't their go.
Well, do we see Colby go?
But I think Foss can go there because Foss is good aerially. So
he went there in the second half.
Yeah, so I think Foss can go there as maybe when Daniel's off, he can just slide back there, and he's a good user. Obviously, yet to debut officially, and good overhead, so he'll be able to.
He looks like he's played 100 games. I think.
He's so composed, and that's why you take the best available talent and pick 2.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, but Colby, I think he's got to go to a wing. This is sort of half forward. He's struggling to get involved. And I know it's early days, but he wasn't at his best yesterday. I thought Tommy
I think
Powers...
you're critical, well, just before we move off Colby, of his handball. He'd do the last handball on the chain, trying to work it out of congestion, and he'd handball to someone and they get tackled straight away. My only question is, could he have kicked it? If he'd have kicked it, it would have gone straight to McLovin. So I think of the handball, someone gets tackled.
No, my
stoppage is probably better than just dump kicking it to their spare.
No, my knock was that he had too many handballs at people's feet or too high.
Yeah, well, right. Okay.
Which is
skill.
And I will say, the big asterisk is I hold Colby to a very Sheezel-like standard.
Yeah, you do.
So if for a 19-year-old...
Which he's earned in his first
dominating.
year. He's earned that standard.
He's still going to be a fantastic player. But there was just a couple of things there.
He'll break games open, don't worry about that.
Oh, yeah.
I've got no worries with Colby.
No.
And I'd like to see him on the wing, give him that freedom to run up and down, more space.
Like I've been banging on for weeks, months. He should be playing the Goulden role.
Yes. Now, the big tick we haven't mentioned, or you might have mentioned it briefly, is no injuries. We've seen every team get horrendous injuries to key players, and thank goodness we didn't get any. So that's a major tick, and let's hope we can get through training. X, you're not to go to training?
Well, there was an interesting article in the Herald Sun over the weekend that even Luke Parker was saying that even in the small little handball warm-up drills, they have to keep reminding X because he just wants to...
I love it.
He's got one gear.
But not our players.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, give him a week off training.
We've had too many incidents. This is going very left field of like big dish Drew Petrie stepping on Wellesley's foot and just stupid injuries in training.
Kano Tarrant.
Yeah.
I think Kano hurt Tarrant one year. And we can't have the little role plays hurting the stars.
Yeah,
not that X is a role player, he's a star, but you know what I mean. We can't get injuries at training. We've got through the 2 practice matches. No injuries, please.
Now, speaking of Kano, I think he's been cloned because Jacob Constanti, very similar sort of forward pressure, but needs to do a lot more. Only the 3 disposals yesterday.
Yes, so Robbie Hanson Jr. slower start, but an elite kick to Cam you've already covered. Then I thought after quarter time or maybe even half time, he really came into it. He was quite good, and I'd have him ahead of Costanti because we love Kane on this pod. If you listen last year, you mentioned him about every second pod. But you can have a role player, but they've got to get more than 3 touches.
Yeah.
And they've got to impact the scoreboard at some stage, whether it's goal assists or outright goals. And I just don't think he's doing that. But I think Clarko loves that pressure, doesn't he? But it'll be interesting which way they go. Do you think they'll both play, none play? What's your early call?
I think only one plays.
And who?
One. I think they'll go with Robbie.
Yeah, I reckon they will fast track Marvel, and he's just got to. They've all got to bring the pressure, but he won't bring it as well as Casanti, but he'll bring more X factor.
One of them might be the sub.
And he went up to the wing or high. He got higher up the ground, didn't he? Yeah, that'd be a good sub, I reckon. Or Hanson Jr. I don't think Casanti. I don't think you can have a pressure. You sub someone out, you just bring pressure. You got to bring more than pressure. So that's his watch on Kano.
Well, he's
Kano 2.0.
And that's the way the game's going. You know, the small forwards that are crafty, apply pressure, but also impact.
Yeah.
And he was a top 20 pick. We loved him in that draft.
Yep.
So, bit of a watch on him early. I think he's got the talent, but he just needs to get into the game more and impact. And he's still only 20 as well.
That's right. I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying at this stage I'd have Robbie in front of him.
Yes, me too. So we'll just quick fire through some other mids. Tom Powell, another great game for him. Big tick. LDU, massive first quarter, went a bit quiet after that, but kicked a fantastic goal, shrugging off about 3 players and with the finish
that was
as well.
good. That was goal of the day for mine.
Yeah, absolutely. He was great again. Will Phil did some nice things.
Yep.
I think he plays round 1
Yeah, absolutely.
for mine.
I had him in my team before Georgie got injured, so he's definitely in mine.
Yeah, did some nice things as well, but it was the classic North finish, right? We do all the hard work and there's some arsey goal that gets kicked by Jaden Hunt, who'd done stuff all day.
Yeah.
And some arsey goal, and we lose.
Yeah. And then the goal from outside 50 by that little ex-Richmond
Baker.
Baker. I'm not a big fan of his.
No, but they had that was the big wind all day, wasn't it? They just converted better. We missed some very gettable shots and didn't adjust to the wind.
Yeah, I think the best shot, considering the wind, was probably Paulie Curtis. His goal from the boundary just was like a putt where you've got to aim 10 feet left of the hole and just let the gravity bring it in. And in this case, the gravity being the wind, that was really good. And Harry's goal from outside 50 after the handball received from X was really good.
Class.
Never looked like missing, but that's Harry.
We'll see that a lot this year as well. But
Yep.
Another player, the last one I want to touch on before we move on, who is very much a bit of a whipping boy, but I thought did some nice things yesterday, was actually, I thought Dylan Stevens was okay.
Yeah, I'm not quite as high. Maybe, okay's aren't just okay, but is he in the team? I don't think he's in the team.
Well, he might be the sub. We discussed this last night. He might be the sub.
He could be a sneaky stub and do what he did against Melbourne last year and come on and have 13 in the last.
But his use was good, and I thought there was a couple of moments where he had to go, and I thought he did yesterday.
Yeah.
Put his body on the line. And a big shout out to Constanti as well. He had a moment where we got a goal in the last quarter where he just flew back unprotected and created that contest with McGovern.
Yes.
And it ended up being a crumbing goal. So that might be my Shimbona moment of the day.
Oh, okay, I like it.
For the Shimbona Award.
Yep.
Jacob Constanti.
Yeah,
Even though,
it doesn't start to round 1, but I like the way you're thinking.
but yeah, that's my nomination just for yesterday's game for those playing at home.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a good test about holding a lead. We weren't unfortunately able to do it, but there was plenty of positives to take out of yesterday, and just probably book September off, I would have thought.
Yes, well, that's like I said, I've never been so positive for a 2-point loss, and you could see it coming, that loss, couldn't you?
Yeah, especially with just the dumb turnovers in the last quarter. Combin, Larky, there was just...
Larky misses a goal from the pocket, and then Big Darling kicked one from almost the same spot. Like Larky, he's got to nail them.
Yeah.
If he kicks that, we win.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, it doesn't count. There's no 4 points on the line. So hopefully we learn from it. And we did dominate the game. I think all the stats. Well, speaking of stats, we were very happy with the umpiring in the first 15 minutes of the game. It was about 7 threes to 1, and I think they were all there. But it turned around after that, didn't it? Mm. But that's just a side note. It's nothing to do with the game. We won. Yeah, we played better than they did. Even the commentators, which are all West Australians, were more glowing about us than Wet Taste.
Yeah, Will Schofield, good analysis too. I'm a big fan of his on the. He's usually on the boundary, but I think he was up in the box and does a good job.
Got a promotion.
Yeah. The last thing I want to touch on, we had in our listener Q&A, someone asked us, is Harley Reid the most overrated player in the comp? Well, now, he's been talked about like he's a certified A-grader.
Yeah.
He did nothing.
He's done a quarter of what Harry's done.
He did absolutely nothing yesterday. He tried to fight about 8 people, and then X had to sort him out.
Yeah. Yes.
He tried to rip the helmet off X, which just pissed him off, but he did nothing yesterday.
No, well, he was only in the teens.
He had 14 disposals.
I don't know how much game time he had, but yeah, he didn't do anything. He didn't set the world on fire.
No. LDU to full forward as well. We saw that for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I like it a lot.
Get him 1-on-1. He's a reasonable size. He's 188. Explosive, and 1-on-1. He can be 1-on-3 as we saw, and still dance around them and get the goal.
And then lastly, Miller Bergman came on for a little bit. Looked all right, but I still don't think he's
did he?
Best 23.
Okay at best. He got a couple of hands in and kept the ball moving. That's about all I can remember him doing. But, limited game time. But he'll certainly start in the VFL and have to earn his stripes.
He will. And there might be some potential for changes off that half-back line with Elmac and Tucker both looking like they'll be at least in the squad initially. But
I think Tucker's a lock. I think Clarko loves Tucker. Yeah, he probably loves Elmac too, to be fair. But I think Tucker did enough yesterday, or more than enough, I think, to get a role, and he can play half-back to wing. Well, I don't really like him on the wing, but I suppose he can go there while someone's having a spell. But I think he'll play.
Yeah. So now we cast our eye to round 1. Obviously, our next hit out.
Lock it in. Win.
We have to win that.
We have to win.
Talking about players to come back, obviously Parker was managed. Big ground over there. Smart decision by the club. And then Jai with the virus, but he's still done enough. He's trained. He had that hit out in the All-Stars game.
They get viruses during the year. In the flu season, they still play the next week. He just plays. He's done the work over the last 8 years.
Good luck telling him he's not playing.
Yes. And he's in form. So he'll definitely play.
Yeah. Right, that's just about us done then.
Okay, so lock in round 1 for a win.
Well, we need to. Well, it has to be.
We have to win. And
if we lose by 10 goals round 1, this will be such a negative podcast, and rightly so.
Yes. And, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but the Bulldogs have got a really tough first opening 6 weeks. And with the easy game for them, so if they lose to us, which we're hoping they do, and they should do, with all their injuries, then look out. It could be Fredo might overtake me. It could be Bevo first off. If they're 9-6, which they could be, if we can beat them, they have a big chance of being 0-6.
But they still have the big X factor of Sam Darcy at full forward, which will have to. He kicked 7 against us.
I think it's going to have to be Tom. They're going to direct everything through him, so it's going to be Tom and other people coming over. And I've already said to you off air, Jacko Archer. And you laughed at me, and I said, all he's got to do is get his knee up to his ribs. That's all he has to do. Get his knee up there and all fair, all just football. You get that knee into the ribs, and that'll slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, but the last word from me on the pod for the lock it in, you can lock in some Lockie McNeil kicking 4 or 5, some nobody.
Who's that new guy who played well against the Hawks?
Sam Davidson.
Davison, yeah. Lock him, he'll run around on his own and have 13, kick 5.
He'll be win the Sam Kerridge Award, where he just kicked 6 and being a nobody.
Kerridge, yes.
And old Spud just looked bemused.
We'll
probably get on him, Spud.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Back shoulder.
Yeah,
Spud.
he would, yeah. Good thing we weren't doing the pod after those that year, 2013. We lost so many games by under a goal. I think it was 10 by under 9 points that year. Jeez, it would have been flat.
Yes.
But
You go.
But that's just about us. Have you got any final thoughts?
Well, let's bring it up. I'm not finishing on negative. I think we'll win against the Bulldogs. I noticed they suspended betting, gamble responsibly, after a bot went down. Because you got on us early, didn't you?
I don't know, we were paying $4.50, but I think we're about $3 at the moment. So.
Yeah. Still pretty good. Like,
And
if you look at all their outs, but mind you, it's got to be over 100-point turnaround.
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. We've won 15 games in 5 years,
I know,
so we're no certain.
And every year we start off positive.
Exactly. So, there will be a full-blooded preview pod for the Doggies game, but we're just discussing.
Yeah, and we're going to do our tips. Remember, everyone, get your tips in. Because when I win the ring, I want to beat a Melbourne Cup field, not like your SEN quiz field. Which, I don't know who rang up. Well, they weren't. They were a bit mentally challenged.
I don't think they'd have their morning coffee. I think they're a bit sleepy.
Yeah. Do they follow sport? That's what I want to know. Because they rang up the Sports Network. Maybe they were meant to ring up some computer analysis network or something.
Right, that's enough of you waffling on. You're not making any sense anymore. No. But, that's about us. Thanks again for listening. Please subscribe to us on whatever listening platform you are using, as well as finding us on socials to get involved in the conversation and get involved in our post-game Q&A after round 1. But we'll be back next week to preview opening round, get our tips in, and just talk a little bit more about whatever's unfolded during the week. Hopefully no injuries and... hopefully an LDU contract re-signing. That'd be nice.
Yeah, you're not getting that anytime soon.
No. But that's about us. Thanks again for your continued support.
Yes, all right. Very positive for a loss. Looking forward to a win in round 1. Calm the Kangas.
Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time, go Roos.
Good old North Melbourne, the champions you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.